look in the crystal ball 5, 10 years from now. Like, what do you want to do, whether it's at an agency or a brand, or do you want to start your own thing? And then we'll talk about it. And they'll ask me about starting Giant Spoon, and I'll say, I highly encourage it. We encourage people to have side hustles. We want them to explore that, because entrepreneurship and having an entrepreneurial itch is an amazing trait to have, even if you're working for a company.
Welcome to the very first episode of This Could Work, a podcast where we celebrate creative risk-taking and those shaping the future of brands. I'm Will Trowbridge, your host and founder of the creative agency Saylor. Today on the podcast, we have Marc Simons, the co-founder of Giant Spoon.
Marc has helped build Giant Spoon into a full-service, idea-first agency that doesn't just run media buys or ad campaigns. They design experiences, build immersive worlds, and help brands truly inhabit culture. Under Marc's leadership and that of his co-founders, Giant Spoon has produced standout work for a wide array of leading clients, from household names like General Electric, Hewlett-Packard, and NBC, to newer challengers like Lucid, Stitch Fix, and WeWork. Marc, welcome to the pod.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here. Happy to be a guinea pig. This is fun.
I know. I just wanted to say congratulations to you and to the entire Giant Spoon team for being shortlisted this morning for Adweek's 2025 Independent Agency of the Year. It's so cool. It's amazing. Awesome. How are you guys feeling about it?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Pretty stoked. The Slack that went out this morning to the whole company is getting a lot of reactions. So everyone's really excited. It's an honor to be on that list, especially with the other agencies that are mentioned on there. There's some really great independent agencies that have cropped up in the last couple of years, and we're all killing it. Yeah. So really excited.
That's today with Giant Spoon. I want to, this podcast is really not only to obviously talk about some of the creative risks that you guys are taking today that of course led to this sort of nomination, let alone of course the Independent Agency of the Year win last year, or I think it was this year, from Media Post. But I think more so, the first creative risk that you guys took with even starting Giant Spoon. I want to go back to 2013, maybe even beforehand, and just hear a little bit about what where your head was, and of course the decisions you made that led you to the place where you were thinking about, wait, I got to start my own agency.
Sure. I think the first start of where we are today with Giant Spoon too. So it was a group called the Innovations Group, and it was working for John, who's my co-founder at Giant Spoon. John was the head of the Innovations Group, and it was responsible for, inside a big media agency, big budgets for big clients. The Innovations Group would focus on finding those new, different, interesting opportunities that might be out there. Anything that felt innovative. TiVo was very big at that point, and all the all the industry was afraid that commercials weren't going to be watched anymore because everyone was skipping the ads. Right. So the point of the group was to find what those among other things, find what those other opportunities might be that we can reach people. And obviously, ads haven't gone anywhere. People are still making ads, and people still watch ads, and ads are still important. But that periphery of different ways that you're going to reach people, that grew in importance. And it's sort of the fragmentation of the world happened. And with the explosion of the App Store and mobile advertising and social networks and performance media, all of these things started to accelerate through this period of time. This group was the tip of the spear to go out and figure out what's the next frontier that we're going to reach people. How are we going to get people to pay attention to our brand and see our movie that we're launching, or whatever it is that we're out trying to promote. As part of the total pitch, we became a fun, shiny object that people would love to talk about in that pitch environment. It left a sort of a mark on the pitch where people remembered us. We ended up going on a pretty good new business run with initiative through a lot of the work that the Innovations Group was spearheading. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like an insight that I'm sure has led to a lot of your kind of prior and current thinking with Giant Spoon.
Exactly, yeah. And the job position that I had was project manager. It was a pretty, just a whatever catch-all job that was, my day-to-day was, this was way back when TechCrunch was the website you would go to just see any new startup that was coming out. I was just on TechCrunch. I knew everything that TechCrunch was posting, and many other, Mashable and all those. anything that was new that was popping up, I was like on it, and then trying to
Yeah.
figure out if I had an
Yeah.
application that I could bring back to a client, and then get some sort of idea actually out into the world.
I got some, I was at Disney around this time, and I remember I got some great feedback from like this SVP of marketing there. They loved when I sent them TechCrunch articles. I
Right.
was just like
Yeah.
devouring it and being like, oh my God, what's happening? Everything is changing. Everything is changing. And I would just share that with as many people as I could with
Yeah.
a very slight point of view on it, of course.
Yeah.
But
Right.
even
Yeah.
if we went nowhere, just being on the cusp of
That
where
was it.
technology was going, and of course
Yep.
where like, you know, advertising was going was
Yep.
so important in those like early 2010,
Yeah.
2015 to 2013 kind
Yep.
of years.
And it was even like when I was at Digitas, I had no business making any of these recommendations, but like I was like, I'm just going to share it with whoever wants,
Right.
will listen to me. But like, hey, there's this new, the App Store just launched on iPhone. Like at some point, like we should be making apps for clients.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
like I'm not going to make any apps, but like the idea of making an app for a client, like those were the things that I was like pushing for, and like we should try this. And they were like, we got to make websites and banner ads. Like that's
Yeah.
our bread and butter. That's the thing we're doing. So the innovations group and initiative was like, oh wow, like I can like that stuff that I wanted to do. I can do it with John and the team there.
Love it.
So we were at Initiative for a couple of years, and then we got pulled into a bigger agency, OMD, part of Omnicom, bigger media agency, bigger clients, but essentially the same thing. The group at OMD was probably exponentially bigger, probably by like 10x, and it was responsible for mobile, social, gaming as different departments as well. And then the emerging media side of Ignition Factory, we were still running that, showing clients like, here's the next new startup that you should be paying attention to, or the next new technology that you should be paying attention, and bringing like proactive ideas to them and what we could be doing together with them. So that was at OMD
That was John and you both moved, or was that the whole initiative team moved?
It was myself, John, and actually, and didn't mean to leave this out, but there's a fourth co-founder to Giant Spoon, who was the president of Initiative West Coast. So John worked for him. His name is Alan Cohen. So when Alan got tapped to be the CEO of OMD USA, we moved with him from Initiative over to OMD. But the Ignition Factory became sort of a SWAT team that we could go in and we could help clients push things forward. We could help bring creative thinking to any team, host workshops with them, and on a bigger scale, be a shiny object again for that new business. But actually pushing the business forward and a bit of a P&L as well. So we were a profit center for the larger agency in that sense. So we were doing that for I think about 5 years at OMD before we got a little bit more serious about talking about doing our own thing. And
so this is Trevor.
Yep, Trevor,
Trevor's there as well.
Trevor was at OMD, so that's where we met Trevor.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
So John was the chief innovation officer of OMD. Alan was the CEO of OMD.
Yep.
And then Trevor and I were the East and West Coast leads for the Ignition Factory, that group that reported up into John.
Amazing. Yeah. So this is where it gets really interesting, because I think that, obviously, even just what you've mentioned so far around your insight around the kind of shiny object, this sort of little red thread that is being used in pitches to kind of like land bigger work, even if it isn't kind of grounded in this new innovative thinking, at least kind of inspires traditional brands to think differently.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now that has to be like a core insight, of course, of the Ignition Factory, but how do you get everyone behind this, especially you now have 3 co-founders, including yourself? How do you guys get together? Who has the initial idea? What does it take to actually get all those people to leave at once to start something new with a very core promise? That how does that all happen? And really, like, what's the inciting incident? What's the thing that like really propels you to do it?
God, I wish there was like one moment or one thing that was said, but I think it was this, like, we had worked together all of us at OMD together for 5 years. at Initiative Plus OMD for 8 years. We've grown to like each other a lot and trust each other a lot. And we have open conversations with each other. And I think over those 8 years, there was probably a number of different conversations where it was like, this is great, but wouldn't it be cool if we started our own thing? And like going from, yeah, it's a fun thought to a very serious thing, I think happened over time, where it just felt more interesting and more possible as time went on. And there was this like macro context of what was going on in advertising where, you know, the fragmentation of it all, where there were a lot of different agencies on any one client, a digital agency, a social agency, sometimes a mobile agency, a gaming agency, this agency, 15 agencies working together for one client. It started to feel like, okay, maybe, you know, there's a lot of fragmentation out there. Maybe there's an opportunity here to like launch something that could be the thing that's in between, the thing that the CMO can use to help them wrangle all of their, not necessarily wrangle all their agencies, but wrangle the strategy and the ideas, and be their secret weapon to then be able to go to the other agencies and work with them to bring things forward. But those are going to be executional agencies that execute in their own paths.
Right.
We as a collective thought like maybe there's a missing piece in between all of that we could be. But yeah, September 2013. At the moment, thinking, okay, we're going to be this like small consultancy probably because we're not actually executing a whole lot.
Right.
But being that Swiss Army knife, secret weapon thing in between that helps in the modern world of advertising, helps CMOs get their jobs done. That was the context of like how it started at the very beginning.
Yeah. I love it. I'm you know, even just get it. You use some sort of language there that speaks to that sort of like, how can we make sure this works?
Yeah.
You know, I think that like, you know, you have a different experience than I do because I don't have any co-founders, but I do think that like even just using co-founders as a tool to kind of hedge your bets, and also knowing that like how each one of them, it's not on you alone, and ultimately everyone serves a role in this new company.
Exactly.
And of course, like a CEO might have those CMO contacts versus this creative or strategy lead might have more kind of tactical connections. But when you kind of connect them all and look at them as a whole, it really does make sense, and it ultimately allows you to confidently take that leap.
Definitely a huge difference between solo founder. I admire you and all the other solo founders so much because I think it's a hard thing for me to wrap my head around, that I'm going to step off this ledge by myself. Whereas we stepped off the ledge together and we were all in it together. We would support each other, and we would help each other out if anyone needed anything. Like we were in it together, and that for us it was important, certainly, to the success. And a bit of a hedge because like we could lean on each other for different skill sets. I took on the like, all right, I'm going to set our QuickBooks up, and we're going to figure out how G Suite works and all these things. And then, you know, someone else was like, all right, I'm going to take a stab at the first creds deck and start telling our story about what we do. And then someone else picks up the phone and calls the CMO of some place. And says, we're open for business. And there having more hands at the wheel was absolutely helpful and part of the success story.
I want you to know that, you know, if starting a business in 2013 doesn't sound a whole lot different to starting a business in 2021.
Sure.
Literally, that was the first
the same stuff.
Steps that I took as well. So fast forward a little bit. You've taken this leap. You've left OMD. First, I'm curious, was there some like shock and awe when all of you guys stepped away and built this consultancy, or did everyone see it coming?
A little shock, a little awe. With shock for sure. I mean, it's, you know, walking away from big agencies and job security, and many of the great agencies that have been started before us were started by a couple of people who walked out the door and said, I'm going to try it. And part of the other side of that is we're also young enough that if it doesn't work out, hopefully we can go back and get jobs. Maybe not from the agency we left. But what's the worst case scenario? We're going to have to find a job, which is, at that point, yeah, okay. And
were many of you in the same stage of life? Like you mentioned, kind of like being young enough to feel like you could get another job. Alan obviously sounds like he was in a different stage, but I'm just curious, like, did everyone have the same stakes? You know, I think about, you know, founding Saylor is like, you know, I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a mortgage. I have all those things now. Like, would I have done that same thing at that time? I hope so. You know, if I had all those ties, but I'm just curious if everyone was in a similar kind of life stage.
Roughly the same. I think I had bought a house. John had bought a house. I don't know if Trevor had, but we were roughly in the same. But no kids. None of us were married just yet. But yeah, you know, the biggest one in that is kids.
You can always sell a house.
Right. Yes, that's true too. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, being all in the same sort of life stage, we felt like, all right, we're all risking the same sort of thing here as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, you found this business, you do some free work, you build your creds deck, you hire an accountant. It's what is kind of like the first big win that makes you feel like, damn, this actually really could be a viable business. Like, this thing is actually something that, of course, we dreamed about, and now it's actually starting to feel a little bit like reality.
The first couple of years were kind of steady, slow growth. I think the first big one for us was probably getting a new client from a relationship we didn't have prior.
Yeah.
And that was with Cole Haan, the shoe company, I think.
Awesome. Oh, I used to love Cole Haan's.
Yeah. And I mean, they were going through a resurgence. They wanted help. They were reaching new consumers. Like, the brand was going through a refresh. We were pretty creative in like how we were getting the word out about the agency. And one of the things we did was we would host a breakfast with Wired magazine. So we just, through our previous lives, had become friendly with a lot of like the editors and publishers of things like Wired magazine, because we were working with OMD, like big client with big budgets. So we could get on the phone with the Wired magazine editor and have a conversation with them. When we go and do Giant Spoon and we don't have those big clients, well, happily and luckily, they still would pick up the phone and like entertaining and interesting ideas that we might have. So we would host this breakfast with Wired magazine, and we would use it as a new business tool. We would just invite as many people as we thought we could invite into this breakfast, and it would, you know, set up some programming, have a little chat at the beginning, a little bit of a panel, and then everyone can enjoy and network. And Cole Haan was one of the clients that we had invited to that breakfast, and it turned into a meeting, and then it turned into real business from them. So that was probably the one for me, at least. I'm digging back in like my memory of things, but like that felt like a pretty pivotal moment for us. And then there were just more pivotal ones after that, where clients would ask us, you know, because we would pitch ideas all over the place. We were very blue sky, like anything was on the table. Frankly, because we didn't have to execute it. We were just coming up with ideas that we thought were good ideas, and then we would tell the clients, you know, here's a great idea, here's a good strategy that goes along with it, but to execute this content idea or this partnership or whatever it is, you should go work with your other agencies, your social agencies, go work with them to go and make this idea come to life. We'll help. We'll translate this to them, and we'll help brief them and figure it out. But like, we're not execution partners. We're not producers or creatives in house. And it was over time when clients would ask us if we could actually execute. That became, and it would happen on the media side, the experiential side, and then the creative side as well, where we would have to go and figure out, okay, how do you make an ad? Like we had never done that before. But you know, reaching out to our network and realizing that there are freelancers out there who do this, and pulling them in and saying, all right, we sold this idea. Now we need to make it. Can you help us actually make this thing? And then they would say, yeah, all right, no problem. And we were completely overthinking it, but they were like, this is easy, actually. And they would go and help us do all the different things to build it out.
Tell me about something that you're like, okay, Cole Haan is an early win.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were in business during COVID, which must have been insane. But I mean, even you can tell me about that, or just tell me about like when a bet went sideways. What's something where you're like, hey, I got a massive learning from this. Made me question my commitment to entrepreneurial pursuits. Like, tell me about that.
I'll definitely. The COVID was
Yeah.
the biggest by a multitude of like moments where it was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. We and for context, like we for a couple. So this was 2020. For maybe 2.5 years, we had been doing experiential now as well. We had added that to the capabilities. We did some pretty big buzzy experiences for brands like HBO. We built Westworld for them, and like that alone was like this big huge moment that put our name on the map. Like we got called everybody after we did that.
I remember that. Yeah, that also, by the way, is like frozen in time, but feels ever present. That could have happened yesterday, and I would have been like, oh, of course it did. Like, I can't believe that happened in 2018. Oh my God, that is nuts.
It's 8 years ago. It's crazy. Of moments of the agency's trajectory, that was an accelerating moment. Like that moment put us on the map. People called us. It also did something where the impression of us as an agency, it turned into we're this kind of do-it-all agency that's a consultant, creative, but into we're an experiential agency, which was a double-edged sword. Like there was great, amazing that we're being known for this and we're getting calls about it, and like the work is like it's just accelerating through this, but we didn't want to lose our capability and our recognition for all the other work that we're doing on media and creative and strategy as well. So but anyway, so we from that moment of South by Southwest for Westworld, for the next year or two, we're building a really robust experiential practice. Staff, tenfold staff. Like it just became a pretty big operation on that side of the business. So this was COVID was February, March of 2020. So we were gearing up for a absolute huge South by Southwest with multiple client activations. Like it was going to be the biggest year ever for us at South by Southwest.
Oh my God.
But that week when it was all really starting to become apparent that no, this is a very bad thing that we're all going to have to figure out. Everything went on pause. South by Southwest canceled. It was like, oh my God, the house of cards might be falling right now. What's happening? What are we going to do? And I think we were one of the first agencies actually that ended up making the unfortunate call to go and do a layoff. And that, I mean, we had done small layoffs before. Never, they're always awful. They're never something you want to be doing as a business person and a leader, and people, you're bringing people in and they are building with you, and then you get a little over your skis, or you have to make adjustments, or clients change things, and you have to just unfortunately go and make a decision like that.
Yeah.
But this one with COVID was just out of our control, and you could sense it. Like this was not something that was going to be over in a couple of weeks and we were going to be okay. Like like certainly as an experiential agency, or doing a lot of experiences, a lot of that's in person. No one's going to be in person for a little bit. What are we going to do? Like, and the thought of like virtual experience and all of that was like, there might be some pivots that are made there, but it's going to be a huge change to our business. Yeah. So I think we were one of the first agencies that went and did a layoff. I think it was about 40 people from our company that we let go. It's those are the moments where you also question everything. It's like, what is happening? Like it was just many sleepless nights, and like the feelings of like letting people down, and but also like this was a much bigger thing.
Totally. Yeah. You were within a larger problem. The problems was also not something of your own making. It's like, oh my God, I remember I was on the digital side, social side at Netflix, and it's like everything that was physical, everything that all of our events, all of our larger activations just went on the 13th of March or whatever it was just like, it was over. And you don't even think about the implications of that when you're on the client side. You're just like, I have to shut this stuff down. But on the agency side, that's months of work, years of preparation, of building even systems and operations and staff that obviously have to deal with the wake of it. And they don't have the cushion of being a public traded company to ultimately allow for them to manage through. So, you probably changed a lot during that window, just mentally, if nothing else, around just like how you show up and how you build and how you diversify. Right.
Yeah. And I think that was the other side to that story of experiential for us is we had all of those other departments still function, actually accelerating on that side. So the media practice, well, some budgets froze and clients would stop spending just to like get through it. But like the media, the strategy, the creative, there were still other parts of our business that were thriving through this. So we ended up 2020 as a flat year, which, in our history had been like the first flat year for us, but also in the context of the advertising industry and all of the other agencies and all the reporting that we had seen, everyone finished that year down.
I was going to say,
to make it up as flat. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, COVID was for some agencies, that was it. They were no more after that. So
a lot of entertainment marketing agencies actually had the opposite effect, where they were booming during that time because
all the streamers were doing so well.
Streamers were doing so well, and there was a lot of work to be done, chopping and screwing up these shows and movies that had been made, the year before and whatnot. So it was actually like the year after COVID that things got kind of slow, which is interesting. So you hear about, I was talking to another kind of social agency leader the other day, and he's like, I was hiring 3 people a day during COVID. And then of course, then the strike happens, and then these things have ebbs and flows and cycles. So if depending on your discipline, there's boom and bust no matter what. But on the entrepreneurial side, like, my dream is that this podcast reaches someone who's excited at the prospect of starting a business, creative, who's maybe been told to go chase medicine, but really needs to go and build an agency.
Totally.
What would you say to that person today? Do you feel like, if you could do it all again, would you? And
no hesitation, yes. And we'll even tell people, through the interview process when we're hiring people, and I'll ask people like, what do you want to look in the crystal ball 5-10 years from now? Like, what do you want to do, whether it's at an agency or a brand, or do you want to start your own thing? And then we'll talk about it, and they'll ask me about starting Giant Spoon, and I'll say, I highly encourage it. And we encourage people to have side hustles. We want them to explore that, because entrepreneurship and having an entrepreneurial itch is an amazing trait to have, even if you're working for a company. And you're sort of like waiting until the right moment to go start that thing, but like feeding that itch you bring it back into the work that you're creating, because you're exploring and you're curious. And that curiosity is something we're always looking for in talent. So to say, hey, you shouldn't go and start your own agency or anything like that, like absolutely go try it, go do it. Like, I think like you'll learn a lot, and you'll see the full picture, and you'll see the system that you have to build and how everything has to work together. And if you thought like your job was just this, and you're not really thinking about the context of the entire company and how the company needs to make money, why the company needs to make money, how your job impacts someone else's job, you see that when you go and start an agency or start any business. You see that like one decision on one front is going to impact 3 other decisions on some other front. Like that system of decisions is really, really crucial to growing as a person in business. So I mean, being open and being curious and being understanding that risk is all around us, but wherever you can mitigate that risk, hedge it, even where you're doing it with partners, and that's probably the biggest thing. And again, I admire solo founders so much, but if you can do it with partners, it just makes it that much easier and that much more. It's a fascinating experience to do it with partners. You're all living through the same thing and solving problems together.
Yeah. Do you feel like your partners are an extended family at this point? How close have you guys gotten, or have you kept it church and state? There's a mix. A spectrum. It's a spectrum.
It's because like we see each other so much, and we talk to each other so much, that like we also need to have our own separate lives. Like it's a healthy church and state, but also a healthy like extended family, somewhere in between all of that, for sure. Yeah.
Marc, well, this has been so great. I personally have learned so much about you and your story, and of course the early strategies and wins that Giant Spoon has had, and of course continues to have today. Just congratulations on everything, and thanks for spending the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. This was fun. Thank you, Will.
This Could Work is a production of Saylor Creative Agency and hosted by Will Trowbridge, the CEO and founder. The show is executive produced by Ray Vada and produced and edited by Corey Lubowich. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Apple has all these strange things where you like do a thumbs up and stuff and it sends balloons. I had that on for about 2.5 years without knowing how to turn it off.